I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. Welcome to my channel.
Today I'm going to make a primitive strawberry jam jar. I have this jar that I pulled out of my recycle bin. Still has a little bit of sticky left, so I'm going to put this damp dishcloth over the top of it and let it sit for a while. I've let this soak with the damp rag for a while. Now I'm going to scrape off all of the sticky residue. So now I've still got a little bit of writing from the dates. I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol. I don't remember what kind of jar this was. I had taken the label off before I washed it to put it in the recycle bin. That rubbing alcohol, just going to take those dates right off. I do want to make sure everything is clean on the inside and outside, so I'm going to just rub it around with some rubbing alcohol on a rag. And I will do the outside right before I get ready to paint the outside, but I'm going to paint the inside first. So I have some, this is a folk art Christmas red. Oh, that's a nice color. So now I'm going to paint the inside of the jar. I want to get right up to into this area. I don't really want it all the way up to the top. I am going to sprinkle a little bit of this instant coffee, and I'm hoping it'll show through and look like strawberry seeds. You can kind of see them. I think it's giving it some textured look to it. There's a few places where the paint's thin. I'm just going to touch those up. A little bit more coffee. And I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. I took a piece of muslin fabric and I cut it into a small rectangle. This is about 1.5 by 3 inches. And I wrote strawberry jam on it with a fine point marker. This muslin had been coffee dyed. Now I've got a piece of checked fabric that I think looks nice with the jam, and I'm going to tear a piece of it to be just a little bit bigger than the muslin label. Now you could glue these two pieces together, but I'm going to stitch them with a needle and thread. I'm going to use some big wide stitches. I really want the stitching to be visible. I want this to have a primitive look, like maybe mom set her daughter down to stitch this up for some sewing practice while the jam was cooling. I'm going to clean the outside with some rubbing alcohol before I put any finish on it. Just going to make sure that any residue from the label or anything else is cleaned off so the paint will adhere. I've got some Mod Podge with a matte finish. I've got a little bit left in this container. I'm going to use that up first. First, I'm going to use the Mod Podge on the back of this jam label. I really don't want the sides pressed down real good. I want it to be a little bit loose at the edges. So I'm going to put it in the middle and up close to the edges, but not all the way to the edge. Then I will place my label on the jar. Now I'm going to grunge up the outside of the jar a little bit. So I've got some instant coffee. And I'm going to mix a little bit of that in with my Mod Podge. The more instant coffee you mix, the darker it's going to be. I don't want it to be super dark. I want to be able to still see the red jam, but I do want it to look old and primitive. So I'm going to brush this around on the jar. Try to get up underneath my label here. You notice I really don't have that much coffee mixed in here. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the coffee and sprinkle around while the Mod Podge is still wet. Go back over those areas again. Got a little bit of the coffee on my label here also, so I'm going to Mod Podge those areas. Going to then let this dry for a few hours. It's had plenty of time to dry now. You can see the grunge that I added to the label and to the jar on the outside here. It does look like there's a few spots on the inside where the paint didn't completely cover, so I am going to try to reapply to those spots. Now I'm going to take some cheesecloth. This is cheesecloth that I have coffee dyed, and I'm going to cut a square. Was a double layer of cheesecloth, so I'm going to separate the two layers. Then I'll put them on separately at an angle to one another. I've got a little piece of this same fabric that I used here, but I'm not sure it's going to be long enough. And it's not a homespun fabric, so it's just single-sided. Looks like it will fit, but it won't. It's not long enough to tie it, so I'm going to tie a piece of jute over the top of it. To have a ball of jute here, twine. Then I will have this so the two ends meet in the back, not in the front, and then put my jute over the top of that to tie it. Probably would be easier to just use the jute or just the fabric. A little bit tricky getting it all put together. like to tie a little knot in the ends before I cut it off. I like the way that looks, and it also helps keep the jute from unraveling too bad.
I hope you found that helpful. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.